So we are studying Upadeshamrut, text 5, last portion of the purport. We'll begin by reciting the verse. Krishneti yasya giritam manasa driyeta Krishneti yasya giritam manasa Dikshasti chet pranatibhischa bhajantamisham Shushrushaya bhajana vidnyamananyamanya Nindadi shunya hridamipsita sangalabdhya Nindadi shunya hridamipsita sangalabdhya. Translation. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, Diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So we welcome everyone after a big gap of 6 weeks. I would like to begin by reviewing the whole book itself very fast so that we know where we are and what are we headed for. Upadeshamrut is the manual for all ISKCONians, Hare Krishna followers. From very basic instructions to most advanced instructions in the science of Bhakti Yoga. There are 7 major topics covered: mind and self-control, attitude in bhakti, ISKCON's purpose, guru and disciple relationship, sadhu sangha, how to appropriately associate with various types of devotees, bhakta and bhakti, various types of devotees, their behavior qualifications, and bhakti's various stages and developments. So we began with text 1 to 5 till now. Vacho vegam atyahara utsahat nishchayat. First 3 verses. They talked about Shraddha. If you have faith in spiritual life, these are the 18 items visibly seen in your behavior. At least you try following them. May not be always successful. And then the previous verse, Dadati Pratigruhnati, the current verse, Krishneti Yasya Giritam, and the next verse, Drishtai Swabhava Janitair, talks about Sadhu Sangha, how to properly associate with devotees. Eventually we'll talk about Bhajana Kriya and further up to Prema, the 9 stages of Bhakti. We had begun the 5th verse with the title Offering Proper Respect Through Body, Mind and Words to Devotees. And these assistant teachers of mine had very nicely showed here on the board 3 types of devotees, Kanishtha, Madhyama, Uttamadhikari. And we had made a list of their attitudes and behaviors. So we had Kanishtha Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. Adhikar means eligibility in spiritual life. So we also studied the attitudes and also the behaviors of these personalities. So Kanishtha Adhikari's attitude, he believes in temple deity worship very strongly. He thinks that God is there only in the temple. But he cannot perceive presence of God everywhere. So outside the temple, he behaves in non-devotional ways, and he feels quite comfortable with that. And also, he thinks I am the best devotee. He has no proper philosophical knowledge, very meager knowledge of spirituality. He has weak faith, and which is pliable. It can be very easily changed by some forceful arguments. And he can't defeat arguments against bhakti. So he's not very philosophically astute. So, yeah. And in his behavior, the prominent activity is seen that he chants the holy name. He has not yet given the adhikar of worshipping the deity in the temple, like a Brahmana, but he visits temple and he likes deity worship. And as we said, he can't see the presence of God everywhere. So, in fact, for him, in ignorance, he thinks that there is not much difference between, say, for example, say the work Prabhupada has done in the field of spirituality and Sachin Tendulkar has done in the field of cricket. That weak is the understanding. So there is no such a thing as, "Arey, ye kuch alag hai, ye kuch, categorically different." No. He will come to temple, hear some powerful class, he will wonderfully clap, some hilarious joke or whatever. And then he will go and watch television, and when Sachin hits a sixer, fully thrilled, with that kind of gesture. So these are some symptoms of Kanishtadhikari. Then Madhyamadhikari, he understands that there are four kinds of, there is Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, Tad Adhina, the devotees, Balisha, the innocent, and Dvishatsu. So there is Krishna, there is devotees, there are innocent people, and there is envious people. So he knows Prema, Maitri, Krupa, Upeksha. How to deal with them appropriately. It's visibly seen in his behavior. He loves the Supreme Lord, so naturally practices Shravanam, Kirtanam, all the 9 activities of bhakti. He befriends the devotees. He knows the value of devotees of the Lord. And he doesn't unnecessarily become hostile towards other living entities. Those who are innocent, he will give them Krishna consciousness. Those who are envious, he will keep distance. So in this way, these are some of his prominent behaviors. He has some knowledge of philosophy. He has a very strong faith. And he may or may not be able to defeat arguments opposing bhakti. And he thinks that I am a troubling devotee. Struggling devotee. Okay. I'm a struggling devotee. Okay, so these are some of the prominent attitudes or behaviors. You can put it in either category. So then comes Uttamadhikari. Uttamadhikari sees Krishna everywhere, in everyone, in everything. Not that they have become Krishna, but he sees their connection with Krishna, and thus they are Krishnas. In that sense, he sees Krishna everywhere. So, sees Krishna everywhere. Even in negative circumstances or tragedies or personal discomfort or attack or insult, he knows how to see Krishna. He also knows, he has sound knowledge of scriptures. And can defeat anyone who oppose the principles of bhakti. Of course, he has strong faith, unflinching faith. But there are two interesting characteristics given in this shloka. They are called his bhajana vidnya. He is expert in rendering devotional service. He exactly knows how to serve Krishna according to time, place and circumstance. Bhajana vidnya. And ninda adi shunya. So he is free from the tendency to criticize others. Why he can't criticize others? He sees that I am the only non-devotee and everyone else is favorably or unfavorably engaged in service of Krishna only. Ultimately. Just like a prisoner in the jail is serving government. The prisoner may not know it or like it, but he is serving government. Similarly, even conditioned souls who envy God, who are atheistic, are serving whom? Material energy of Krishna, which is under Krishna. So they are also serving Krishna. So in this way, he sees nobody unengaged in bhakti. Who is unengaged in bhakti? He sees I am not engaged properly. So he is utterly humble and he thinks I am not a devotee, but others are better situated than me. This is interesting, no? Progress. As you progress in bhakti, what happens? And from here we can also know where we are. Yeah. So, these are some of their attitudes and behaviors. So we gave some examples also, that this Kanishta Adhikaris follow rituals for the sake of rituals. So we know those cat under the basket story and remove your shoes here story. We studied them? You know them? Okay. Like a security guard is standing at the temple door and the sign says, remove your shoes here. And if someone removes their shoes in the car and they come, and security guard says, where is your shoes? He says, oh, car mein nikala wala. Nah, remove your shoes here. But purpose is to not come before the Lord wearing shoes. Where I remove, how does it matter? Say, no. Niyam matlab niyam. So this is a typical mood of a Kanishta. So they will follow everything to the T, but they forget the purpose, which is to always remember God. So these are some of the typical behaviors. Sometimes we have done these things with our relatives and friends also. When we started practicing bhakti, we told them so many rules and regulations, which we are also not very firmly following. But still, we were very forceful about them. And they wondered, what is this? These people are irrational. So in this way, these are some Kanishta. And he visits temple, but outside the temple his behavior is not the same as the way it is in the temple. This person's behavior inside outside temple is same. He knows that I am a devotee even representing in my duties in the world. So, and here his bhakti is very occasional. मूड पे बहुत डिपेंड करता है इनके सब चीज़. अगर मूड अच्छा हो तो बहुत माला कर लेंगे, मूड ठीक नहीं हो तो बोलेंगे कल कर लेंगे, इतनी भी क्या जल्दी है, बहुत सारे जन्म दिए भगवान ने, बहु नाम जन्म नाम अंते ज्ञानवान माम प्रपद्यते, कृष्ण ने तो बोल के रखा है. So this is their mood, they are moodies. Moody means according to modes they act. The 3 modes they tell them what to do, and accordingly they behave. That is called as moody. And interestingly, Kanishthadhikaris also have a great pride. They think I am the best devotee, and everyone else is either a neophyte or they don't even know what is bhakti. In fact, they confuse. Sometimes they see that devotees misbehave with them. Say they come in the temple and somebody asks them coupon for prasadam. They get upset. They say, coupon मांगते हो भगवान का प्रसाद देने के लिए पैसा देके लगाना. So they don't understand, organizationally how things can work. If nobody tells how many are coming, suddenly how will they cook and feed? So they don't understand all that. But they are very demanding about their personal needs. But then they go outside in some software company, people are very, polite, courteous, very warm. And they say, देखो यहाँ कितने अच्छे लोग हैं, ये हरे कृष्णा वाले भगत इतना हार्श बिहेवियर करते हैं, उनको समझ में आना चाहिए थोड़ा. So they have no such an understanding that spirituality has its own stature despite the most neophyte behavior of the new practitioner. So they can't understand all that. They also think that, social welfare also is same, spirituality is also same, patriotism is also same, and impersonalism, any other ideologies, they have no clear-cut understanding. It's more like a khichdi of varieties of isms and, practices. So it's all, inside their system. And if anyone criticizes what they hold to be important, even if it is philosophically sound, they don't like it. They say this is not proper. So in this way, Kanishthadhikari has varieties of leelas that they perform. Then Madhyamadhikaris, typically coming in touch with ISKCON until you chant 16 rounds and get initiated in Harinam. We are expected to be like this, somewhere. And then this is Brahman Diksha onwards, who is engaged in the service of the Lord. He is supposed to become Madhyama. I am not saying that all Brahmanas are by default Madhyama, nor am I saying that Madhyamadhikari without getting Brahman Diksha can't be a Madhyamadhikari. None of that. But it is expected, I am saying. And then over a period of time when we become Bhava Bhakti, Prema Bhakti, fully evolved in spiritual consciousness, we become Uttamadhikari. Now coming to the shloka, you will understand it better. The verse says, Krishna iti yasya giri. Giri matlab power of speech. So on whose tongue? Krishna, the name of Krishna is being chanted. Tam manasa adriyeta. Mentally offer him respect. How should we reciprocate with them? That's the topic going on now. So Prabhupada begins by telling us, anyone who is chanting Hare Krishna should be shown mental respect. We should mentally honor them. Somebody may say, Prabhu, they have so many bad habits sometimes, or they are so ill-behaved. How can we respect them? The point is, it takes long number of births, many number of births, having performed yajna, dana, tapa, all these activities to come to the stage of bhakti. And in that, someone who starts chanting exclusively as one of the methods of spiritual practice, he has already surpassed many stages of Vedic development, Varanashrama, yajna, dana, tapa, all that he has already performed. So he has already come to a certain stature. And that's why we respect that in that person. He's not like another ordinary person. Krishna iti yasya giri tam manasa adriyeta diksha asti chet. Now whenever we say diksha, it means Brahman Diksha. You may wonder, what is this? So there is Harinam Diksha and then there is Brahmana Diksha. So there is Tapa, Pundra, Nama, and then there is Yaga and Ija. Any Vaishnava Sampradaya that you get Diksha have these 5 items at the time of Diksha. Say for example you belong to Madhva Sampradaya or Ramanuja Sampradaya. So you have to do some tapasya before you undergo initiation. Purify your consciousness. Then they give you Pundra, Tilak Dharan, 12 parts of the body. Your body becomes property of Lord Vishnu. And then comes Nama. They teach you how to chant the holy names of God. Like Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, whatever. Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that is Nama. And then there is Yaga, which means there is a fire sacrifice, initiation, Yajna. And then there is Ija, means the qualification for you to engage in the service of the deity in the temple. You can become a Brahman who can worship the deity in the temple, no matter what caste, what background you come from. So that is called Ija. Entire process is called as Diksha. Prabhupada, he has splitted this process into 2 parts in ISKCON. So first 3 things happen and we call that as Harinam Diksha. Later on 2 things happen more and that is called as Brahmana Diksha. And at this time you are given mantra, the Gayatri mantra to chant. Okay? Ija. So there are 5 items. Why Prabhupada did this? Can anybody say? He did the splitting, no? Earlier in the Vedic system, it's all once through. And that was called Diksha. I was explaining this word to you. What is exactly total Diksha about? Why did Prabhupada split?
We don't take Diksha very cheaply, we are prepared.
We are prepared for this stage little better. That's why Prabhupada split it. Very good reason. One more reason is there. Yes?
In previous time, from by birth, there used to be somewhat trained on this aspect.
Yes. There was a lot of Vedic culture around in the society and people could directly take up to this and still continue practice it. But now the society has become so degraded that every one of us struggles with the forces of the social currents to keep up the standard. So first you do this much, if you are really doing it well, then we will give, like that. Another reason, this Harinam Diksha makes you the member of Hare Krishna movement, the member of the Parampara, the family of Krishna, and this makes you the representative of the Hare Krishna movement. Make sense? So here you get trained, you are like a graduate trainee engineer. You are neither fully absorbed in the company nor you are outsider. Whatever. And then you are given a permanent job. You are taken in. And then you can represent the company everywhere. So all of us should strive for Brahman Initiation. Of course, first we should strive for Harinam Diksha and then we should strive for Brahman Diksha. But in any case, if you are chanting Harinam even before Diksha, it doesn't go waste. Nothing goes waste in spiritual life. It will also count. In fact, Harinam is so powerful that it does not wait for initiation to take place. It starts purifying the person even the moment he starts chanting. So that is the power of the holy name. Say somebody passed away even before getting first initiation. But he was chanting, nicely, the Hare Krishna mantra. Will he go back to Godhead or not? Yes. To the degree he accepted Prabhupada's teachings very nicely, he followed them in his life, he practiced, he can. But we cannot think that if I have a capacity at this level, I will purposefully perform at a lower level. That's not sign of sincerity. So these are some things about Kanishtha. So mentally honor. So each devotee that we come across, we should value them, knowing that they are special people. Never mind the kind of anarthas they have and the kind of behavior they show sometimes. Mentally honor them. Then Dikshasti Chet Pranati Bhischa Bhajantamisham. So Pranati for whom? So here physically you bow down. Does that mean you mentally dishonor? No. So this is included in this and more. Sometimes we say, Prabhuji, it is better to be very straightforward, no, in bhakti. अगर कोई डिवोटी अच्छा नहीं लगता है, तो क्या उसके सामने ड्रामा करने का कि externally you show respect to them. क्या अच्छा है? कपटी दंडवत या निष्कपट तमाचा? आपको नहीं अच्छा लगा वो डिवोटी, उसने क्या किया, तो क्या करना चाहिए? It's an instruction of the Acharya that we must mentally honor a devotee of the Lord. If they are misbehaving, we can do the needful for safeguarding, but respectfully. Physically bow down. Then Uttama Adhikari. What are we supposed to do if he is a Bhajana Vidnya and Ninda Adi? What does Adi stand for? You thought of Ninda Adi Shunya. What are the other? That's what I'm asking. See, when you interact with other people, what are the things you do? We judge them, we criticize them, we gossip about them. What else you do? We ignore them sometimes, neglect them. We envy them sometimes. So, whatever are the negative ways of dealing with a person, disrespectfully. So, Ninda Adi Shunya. That is the meaning. He doesn't have that in his personality. In fact, they respect even an ant or a dog. What to speak of a human being? So, how do we reciprocate with them? There are two words, Shushrusha. And in general, Pranipata, Pariprashna and Seva. Seva is already covered, Shushrusha. We get the consciousness of the person whom we serve. So that's why we associate with and serve Uttamadhikari. Now someone may say, Prabhu, ये Uttamadhikari मिलना कितना कठिन है इस दुनिया में. When will that ever happen that in my life, I get a one-on-one contact with a Uttamadhikari and then, I will render service to him, learn from him. So what is the solution?
One is to serve his instructions. And second, you will, because of organizational reason, if he is not available, so you need some of his representatives to represent him.
Okay. So there are two things. Uttamadhikari instructions, like Prabhupada's books are having his instructions, or your spiritual master has his instructions, recorded form. So to serve them is also service to a Uttamadhikari. And Uttamadhikari will always have some Madhyama category disciples who will act in the capacity of Shiksha Gurus. So we can follow their instructions and serve under them. So this is how one should deal with the devotee scenario. If we don't learn this carefully, how to discriminate between various grades of devotees, what can happen? We will commit offenses. Sometimes we don't understand the stature of a Uttam Adhikari and how he does not criticize even a sinner. We may misunderstand him. And sometimes we may come across a Kanishta Adhikari who is very energetic about some stupid idea. We may get carried away thinking that this is something to be done in bhakti. What else? Why should we know all this? Okay, we should know where we are also. We have to go to the next step. So if you start following the next steps, so to say, protocol requirements, then we gradually elevate ourselves to those higher stages. What else? Why should we know this? Yeah, how to serve each of these devotees also we will get to know accordingly. Yes.
When we are serving, we should not make offenses.
Yeah. So we are not supposed to offend anybody, right? Not that Kanishta Adhikari is very nice.
Also how to reciprocate to their behaviors.
Yes. So, one last thing about this whole understanding is to learn to properly discriminate and seek proper association. Because if you continue associating with Kanishta Adhikaris, you will remain Kanishta Adhikari. You will never grow beyond that. The word is discriminate and not judgment. We studied this also. Judgment is based on mental speculation. Discrimination is based on Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So this also we have learned. Okay. So it's a very vast topic, but as of now, if this much overview we are clear with, then this verse will make much more impact. Question. Harinam Diksha has already given you the access to the topmost level of God realization. Golokera Premadhana, Harinama Sankirtana. So, whoever has got first initiation, Harinam Diksha, he can go back home, back to Godhead. The reason we take Brahman Initiation is for two purposes. Because ours is a preaching movement. To get Brahmana, you have to complete Bhakti Shastri. So that means your study of scriptures and your practice of them automatically becomes more stronger. And also we are representing. So Brahmanical standards of Shamo, Damo, Tapas, Shaucham, when we start following, we can actually become a qualified teacher for others. So by deity worship especially, it regulates our lifestyle, keeps us clean, punctual. So those are the advantages of Brahmanical initiation. Those mantra, Gayatri mantra chanting accelerates your mode of goodness advancement. And in that to practice Harinam chanting becomes easier and also more effective. It catapults your consciousness rapidly to the higher levels with that as a base. So without it also you make spiritual advancement, but with it, it's like a catalyst. But he might be a grahastha, but Uttam Adhikari. Possible? Possible, not possible? Possible. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was a grahastha, Uttam Adhikari. And there are many renunciates who would come to him for guidance and inspiration. So bhakti is so sublime that it has got nothing to do with this externalities, even of ashram. Of course, we still respect sannyasis because they carry that order that they have. But as I'm saying, spiritual advancement, how much who has made, is dependent on the... So this Vacho Vegam and all these things that we learnt, if you want to know what are the symptoms of a Madhyamadhikari, then that is this: Vacho Vegam Manasa Krodha, perfectly in control. That's a Madhyamadhikari. Can you imagine? And then the second, third and fourth verse, Atyahara, Utsahat and Dadati, are Madhyamadhikari's external practices. And 5, 6, 7, 8 verses, they are his internal vision, how he sees things. So the whole book is about Madhyamadhikari till 8. Make sense? So this is how we can know who is where, including ourselves. Yes?
Hare Krishna or rather Gayatri mantra more higher than Hare Krishna?
As I said, Harinam is most powerful. Namna Makari Bahudha Nija Sarva Shaktis. And also, Tatrarpita Niyamita Smaranena Kala. Gayatri has a lot of demands. What time, which place, who can chant. So Harinam is the best. Then why do we add Gayatri to the whole process? I already said it acts like a catalyst. So we need to make advancement in mode of goodness. And that is very rapidly speeded up as a process by this Brahmanical type of living, dealing, serving. And in that, when you chant Hare Krishna, it's like super. To give a simple example, we can chant anywhere. We can even chant in a discotheque. You know, when people are playing rock music and we can try chant there also. Or we can chant, in the temple hall, in the company of other devotees. A nice morning program. So does the place make a difference? Yes. So should we choose the right place if possible? Yes. It's like that Brahman Initiation. Gayatri Mantra? If he's a Brahmana born, then there are some cultural issues here. We will earn the wrath of our Brahman community or relatives and friends. So maybe the one first Gayatri Mantra that you chant, one may continue chanting that because he anyways got it from some source earlier. But he should know himself that I am not yet a Brahmana. And I have to qualify myself to become a Brahmana. So culturally there are issues, so we should not give up that practice. But we should not assume that I have become elevated simply because of my birth. Any other?
So you're saying when it comes to Kanishta Adhikari and Madhya Adhikari, Kanishta Adhikari he is different outside world and in the temple. What is the difference in Madhya and Uttam? How they behave?
Inside out same.
Madhya and Uttam are same in that level.
In their inside outside behavior they are same. Yes. In fact, Madhyamadhikari is so expert that even in his place like a company or a very corporate event, he may conduct himself accordingly, be like a Roman in Rome, but internally his consciousness will be very fixed up in Krishna. That is the beauty of his personality. Another thing we learnt is Uttama Adhikari can't preach. He has to come to Madhyama platform. Now, when you say he has to come to Madhyama platform means what? His consciousness is like elevated only. In behavior, he adopts the practices of a Madhyamadhikari. He starts discriminating. Okay, there is Krishna, there is devotees, there is... Why Uttamadhikari can't preach? Because everybody is a devotee. Preaching kisko karne ka? Interesting. So his vision is very different. Yes. If it is said, if there is one Uttam Adhikari and he sits in one Brahmanda and chants for 5 days Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the whole Brahmanda becomes purified. That is the power of his chanting. What kind of chanting that must be? You can imagine. Of course, we had one Uttamadhikari come, Prabhupada, and he has chanted in this Brahmanda for many days. So, this is the point. Their chanting and practices are of another level. So we go to the last one page that is pending in the purport. I think we completed till.
We started when one fully engages.
Yeah, 1, 2. Third last paragraph. It begins with when one fully engages. When one fully engages in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he gradually realizes his own spiritual identity. Swarupa. Who am I? In the spiritual world. In what capacity do I serve? He also understands his specific service to Krishna, his mood in which he serves Krishna, his location, his service authority in the spiritual world. There are about 8 details of one's position in the Swarupa, which are all revealed to a person as he goes on chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Unless one faithfully chants the Hare Krishna mantra, Krishna does not reveal himself. What is the faith we should chant with? What do you mean faithful chanting? There is no difference between Krishna and his holy name. So when I am chanting, I am in the presence of Krishna. This is the faith one should have while chanting. Just like if a billionaire is visiting your home, somebody very rich, very famous, then in what mood do we reciprocate with that person? We will not certainly neglect, So similarly, as soon as one begins chanting Hare Krishna, he is aware that Krishna is present in this sound vibration. That is the faithful chanting. Sevon mukhe hi jihvadau swayam eva spurati adaha. We cannot realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead by any artificial means. We must engage faithfully in the service of the Lord. Such service begins with tongue, jihva adau, which means that we should always chant the holy names and accept Krishna Prasad. See, one thing, whatever may happen in our life, these 2 things we should not stop. कितना भी मार पिटाई हो जाए हमारा, दुनिया के द्वारा, क्या नहीं छोड़ने का? प्रसाद खाना नहीं छोड़ने का कभी. Favorable instruction, isn't it? प्रसाद खाते रहो, or chant. Don't give up chanting. No matter how badly you are terrified by the people of this world. So, which means that we should always chant the holy names and accept Krishna Prasad. We should not chant or accept anything else. When this process is faithfully followed, the Supreme Lord reveals himself to the devotee. Kitna acha hai na? Quite simple. Maybe at least prasadam, that instruction we like very much, right? Always eat prasad. Chanting, sometimes we have some issue. So, what is the point in this paragraph? Why is this whole discussion going here? Prabhupada is giving the description of qualification for Diksha and the life after Diksha, how it should be. That is the discussion going on in the purport, if you have noticed. So Prabhupada said, when one becomes so disinterested in material life, he becomes a tapasvi, can he take to Diksha? And then further. One thing, this tapa that I mentioned, what is our tapa? That 4 regulative principles. That Prabhupada has put as tapasya for accepting Diksha. Before even go to Diksha, you have to follow. Not that after Diksha you start suddenly following. So that is our tapa. So if your consciousness is already purified enough to accept the process. So that is our tapasya. Pundra, all of you put tilak, right? And every morning after bathing. Of course, you may or may not wear it in your company or work profession, but at least we should have a habit of putting tilak. Tilak is very powerful. When we chant the mantra Om Keshavaya Namaha, we are doing 2 things. We are declaring this place is place of residence of that deity and it belongs to the Lord. So when Yamadutas come, they look at the tilak, they say, no, this fellow is not under our jurisdiction. No inauspiciousness can come in our life when we put tilak on the 12 parts of our body. When we take Charanamrut of the Lord, all these items, they may be sounding very simple. We chant Akala Mrityu Haranam, Sarva Vyadhi Vinashanam, Vishnu Padodakam Pitva, Punarjanma na Vidyate. What is the significance of Charanamrut? Akala Mrityu Haranam. You will not have Akala Mrityu. You will become almost like Bhishma Dev. You can decide when you want to pass away. you know. And Sarva Vyadhi Vinashanam. All the diseases in the body are destroyed simply by drinking Charanamrut. Problem is we don't have faith in these items. And we approach them. So they accordingly reward. And Vishnur Padodakam Pitva Punarjanma na Vidyate. Jisne Charanamrut piya, no more rebirth. Guaranteed. In the material world.
But these are still material benefits, right? But there would be a lot of spiritual also.
Yeah, but even material benefits are also very lucrative. We should, whichever level our Shraddha gets aroused, it's welcome. So that's why we quote. Yeah. So you can put tilak only with water. She's giving a suggestion. If you can't put the clay wala tilak, you can still take water in hand and put all 12 parts of the body tilak. You're still having tilak. The invisible tilak. So these are post initiation or preparation for initiation behaviors. That's what we are talking about. Next paragraph. When a person realizes himself to be an eternal servitor of Krishna, he loses interest in everything but Krishna's service. Always thinking of Krishna, devising means by which to spread the holy name of Krishna. He understands that his only business is spreading Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Now these are symptoms of Uttamadhikari. Prabhupada is talking about. Such a person is to be recognized as an Uttamadhikari. Now we had some very esoteric conception, right? Uttamadhikari means he must be getting shivering ecstasy every time he chants holy name and faints like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did, something like that. Prabhupada is giving quite ground level descriptions. Anyone in whose personality you observe these characteristics, he should be treated as Uttamadhikari and his association should be immediately accepted according to the 6 processes described earlier. Dadati, Pratigruhnati, etc. Indeed, the advanced Uttamadhikari Vaishnav devotee should be accepted as a spiritual master, Diksha and Shiksha. Everything one possesses should be offered to him, for it is enjoined that one should deliver whatever he has to the spiritual master. The brahmachari in particular is supposed to beg alms and offer them to Guru. However, one should not imitate the behavior of an advanced devotee or Mahabhagavata without being self-realized, for by such imitation one will eventually become degraded. So that's an interesting point. We should know where we are situated at, and the do's and don'ts of that level we should strictly follow. We should not artificially try to jump to the next level, having paid the price, so to say, having done the homework. In that attempt, we usually degrade ourselves, not elevate ourselves. There was one devotee who got initiated by Srila Prabhupada, and then he happened to come to Mayapur Dham. And he liked the Dham very much. He started staying there, associating with the residents, local, some other Vaishnavas from other places. He got slightly bewildered about, why in ISKCON we chant only 16 rounds. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati told 64 rounds. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Lakhpati you have to be. Lakhpati means 1 lakh names, 64 rounds. So he went and told the devotees that this is 16 is nothing, we should 64. And you all are not advancing properly. I'm chanting sitting on the bank of Jalangi every day, 192 rounds, sometimes 108 rounds. And he was criticizing other fellow devotees, saying that they are not austere enough. So somebody went and told Srila Prabhupada that he is doing like this. So they brought him before Prabhupada. And he told even Prabhupada that we should increase the standards in our Hare Krishna movement. And he said, I'm chanting like this and whatever. And Prabhupada said, no, you should not do these things. You should stay with devotees, in association of devotees. Practice in our camp, ISKCON camp, so that you don't become bewildered by all these varieties of ideas. He didn't listen. So, and the devotees then saw him chant. He used to literally sleep 2-3 hours in a day, just drink some water from the Ganga, and do severe austerities, and chant whole day and night practically. And after some days he was not to be seen anywhere in Mayapur. So devotees wondered what happened. Many years later, while filling a petrol in some gas station, they found this devotee working as a petrol filler. And the devotees recognized him. Hare, you are that, Babaji, who was chanting 64, whatever, 108. What happened? He said, I chanted so much, I have chanted for my whole lifetime quota. Now I have started this new thing. I have a wife, I have children, everything. So the devotee said, just see, Prabhupada told him that don't do this business of artificial renunciation, jumping over, to higher levels without pre-qualification. So we should be very careful. Our gurus, they know our capacity. Accordingly only they give instructions. And Prabhupada says 16 minimum. So we have the opportunity to chant 20 sometimes, 25, no problem. But no artificial imitation. Now, the conclusion for the whole purport. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advises the devotee to be intelligent enough to distinguish between the Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttamadhikaris. That's first part. Second, devotee should also know his own position and should not try to imitate a devotee situated on the higher platform. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given some practical hints to the effect of an Uttamadhikari Vaishnava can be recognized by his ability to convert many fallen souls to Vaishnavism. That's another characteristic of a Uttamadhikari. One should not become a spiritual master unless he has attained the platform of Uttamadhikari. A neophyte Vaishnava, which means Kanishta Adhikari, or a Vaishnava situated on the intermediate platform, Madhyamadhikari, can also accept disciples. But such disciples must be on the same platform. It should be understood that they cannot advance very well toward the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. How can they accept disciple if they are not qualified yet? Why Prabhupada is saying they can also accept disciples? Yeah.
Because if they are perfectly following the Acharya, so they are still on the same line.
Okay, they are still in the parampara, they are following the same tenets. At least those tenets that they are following, they can teach others. No problem. Yes?
No, exactly. There will be people who are far worse than where they are, so we'll be able to guide them.
Okay, so somebody is in 10th standard, he has the capacity to teach the entire curriculum of the 2nd standard, 3rd standard, 4th standard. So that in that context they can teach. Also it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction. Amar Agyay Guru Hoya. So it's an order for everybody. It's not just for Uttamadhikari. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he's God. He came in this universe and he ordered whom? Every one of us. On my order you become a guru. Tara e desh. Deliver all the people around you by giving this message to them. Jare dekho tare kaho Krishna upadesh. Therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttama Adhikari as a spiritual master. Okay, so what are the symptoms of Uttama Adhikari? Latest that we learnt. Loses interest in everything other than service of Krishna. Always thinks of Krishna. Devises ways and means to spread Krishna consciousness. And
Also, he can
make many people into Vaishnavas. Now I have a question for you. Would you like to share any experience of having associated with somebody like that? Where you felt that Krishna consciousness is really wow, what an experience.
What an experience. All the time you were speaking the lecture, I was constantly thinking of Maharaj. All these symptoms that you mentioned, we have seen it practically in Maharaj.
Yes.
Not only Bhakti Rasa of Maharaj, Radha Maharaj. Because Bhakti Rasa of Maharaj was associated.
Any other? I told you that story of Sachinandan Swami Maharaj. I used to serve him personally and he would every now and then Pala Govinda. He would catch me anywhere. Oh, that was different. That's Chandramoli Maharaj. I have all mixed experiences. Some happy, some chastising, everything. So I'll tell this once again. It's a beautiful. So I had been serving Sachinandan Maharaj for some time, and his nature is such that he's very sweet in personal dealings. So he wins your heart like this, very quick. So after he went away, I was kind of missing Maharaj. That he has. I don't know when we'll next come back to Pune. After a few months passed, he called me on phone. Bala Govinda, can I speak to you for some time? I said, yes, Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. Can I tell you some Krishna Katha? I said, he's calling from Germany or somewhere, just for fool like me, staying in some corner of the world, to tell him Krishna Katha. I said, okay, yes, Maharaj, please tell me. So then he told me beautiful pastimes of Krishna. And then he told, this is the month of Kartik. And it's month of Srimati Radharani. And just like the water that is sprinkled over the heads of the visiting darshanarthis by the pujaris, indiscriminately throws the water. Sinner, pious man, devotee, doesn't matter. Everybody gets mercy. Like that in the month of Kartik, Srimati Radharani gives her mercy to everybody. I said, wow, that's interesting. So, Bala Govinda, will you promise that you will do some nice vrata for the pleasure of Srimati Radharani in the month of Kartik? I said, yes, Maharaj, I will do something solid. Chant extra rounds and don't eat sweets. Very sweetly he is telling, do this, do that. I said, yes, Maharaj, all this done. Whatever you told, I will do. And then he started telling, but I called you, one more thing was there, that I'm planning to come to Pune and these dates are the probable dates. Are they okay? Are there any other guests coming? Can I come? All that management of his visit. So I thought, wow, nice Krishna Katha in the beginning, then some little management. And then I said, yes, Maharaj, thank you very much. I thought I should not eat this too much time. Bala Govinda, can I request you something? I said, what? Would you please tell me some Krishna Katha? I said, hey, come on, this is too much. I said, Maharaj, I will tell you Krishna Katha. He said, yeah, you should tell. I said, okay, on your order. So I was studying this pastime of Trinavarta, And if a devotee loses himself in studying too many philosophies and becomes overly proud, then that Trunavarta of pride and over jnana, knowledge, does two things. He makes that devotee lose sight of Krishna and Krishna consciousness. And he thinks, that devotee, that I have picked up Krishna and I have fully grasped hold of him and I can take him for a ride. Krishna also allows for a while. And then he smashes the pride of that devotee by crashing him onto the ground. So we should be very careful in reading too many philosophies and too many opinions and thinking ourselves to be a big jnani. And Krishna has said, if you engage in my service and read your spiritual master's book, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, I'll give you all intelligence. Don't worry. So I told that pastime to Maharaj. Maharaj was very happy after hearing. He said, wonderful Bala Govind, I'm so happy you read Krishna book very regularly. Very nice. And I said, now can I keep Bala Govinda? Can I request you one more thing? I said, yes. I know you are a manager in the temple. So every time you have to do a service with a devotee, you will tell him Krishna Katha. Then you do the management. And then you request that devotee to do Krishna Katha with you. Can you do that? At least for the month of Kartik. Because you knew my conditioning. Because I had to promise this, no? So I thought for a while, कि ये सही में possible है क्या करना? So I said, yes, Maharaj, I will do this. Thank you, he said. He gave the phone. And then after that, for 1 month, I had a big struggle. Because as soon as I have to go and talk to any devotee, I'll say, wait a minute, Krishna Katha. So I did, especially months like Kartik, Yatra time, management is high, everybody's dimag thoda garam hi rehta hai devotee. And I start Krishna Katha. देख मेरे पास ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं है तू सीधा बात कर devotees are telling me. I said I have to complete this first. So somehow I'll tell the Krishna Katha. Then I will talk about management. They said हो गया. Then the toughest thing, you tell Krishna Katha, they will really get wild on me. बोले देख मेरा दिमाग मत खा. मैं बोला तुमको कृष्ण कथा कहने के लिए बोला है तुम प्लीज बोलो कुछ तो. बोले चल कुछ टाइम नहीं यहाँ पे. So I would literally beg them. So somehow or other they will say, okay, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Some 2, 3, 4 statements here and there they would make and run away. And I was thinking, my God, what kind of passionate movement we have become. So much service absorption, we sometimes forget Krishna only. बोले किसके लिए सेवा कर रहे पता नहीं. घमासान सेवा कर रहे. And it was surprising. Later on, again when Maharaj called after the whole thing, he asked me, so did you follow what I tell you? No, he didn't call. I met him in Kartik. I think that place was our Giriraj ka opposite हमारा ISKCON का temple है ना. So there I met him. So he called me and he asked me, so going well so far? I said, Maharaj, I'm really having a tough time. I can't tell you how much devotees are upset with me for doing Krishna Katha. So he said, that is the point. You see in Vrindavan, any occasion, two devotees come together. कुछ काम नहीं है किसी के घर जाके थोड़ा दही मांग के लाना है खुद के घर में दही लगाने के लिए. इतना छोटा कारण भी उसको चलता है. जैसे ही टक चिपक जाता है एक दूसरे कृष्ण कथा चालू. That is spiritual world. There is no occasion for them. Yan animitta nimittena dharmena आराधयन हरिम. अनिमित्त को निमित्त बनाकर कृष्ण कथा करते हैं वो लोग. निमित्त नहीं है कुछ तो कुछ भी निमित्त नहीं है उसको ही निमित्त बना के कृष्ण कथा करें. मतलब आज एकादशी नहीं है इसलिए 64 करेंगे. व्हाट? ये क्या नया है? इसको बोलते हैं अनिमित्त को निमित्त बनाकर सेवा करना या कृष्ण कथा करना. एंड देन फॉर देम सर्विस इज मेन थिंग इज कृष्ण कथा. कृष्ण के बारे में कुछ तो बोलना है दूसरे को. And this is how spiritual world is. And here you see, he said, everybody is, of course, we are not wrong or we are not bad. That's not the point at all. We are actually in one sense amazing how our movement is. Ki, especially Janmashtami time, you realize ki service means what? People are just 3 days, no food, no water, crazily doing, everything. But they will facilitate 60,000 people coming and having a grand experience for Krishna Janmashtami. उसके बाद जाके देखो सब लोग पड़े हुए not in ICU, but at least similar conditions. Whichever homes you go, or brahmachari ashram, you'll find everybody flat. So that's also interesting. Here our focus is service, and then we think of Krishna. There they think of Krishna, and service is always happening in the background. It's an interesting phenomenon. Why did I tell you this? One experience of association with a Uttam Adhikari can be so exhilarating in one's spiritual life. It can change things upside down. So my entire thought process after that became completely transformed. I can sense it that I'm not the same person that I was before that interaction. So that is the power of association. Okay, any comments, questions?
Since you mentioned the spiritual world, in the spiritual world, body, we have this body means
Spiritual body.
but the shape and everything similar, like our Krishna.
Okay.
And what about the food and everything? The food is there just for
Yeah, the food is also pure devotee. जैसे रसगुल्ला है कोई, तो रसगुल्ला में वो प्योर डिवोटी रहता है. फिर वो रसगुल्ला का सेवा ये रहता है कि हर एक भक्त के मुख में जाने का और वहाँ पे खुद को चबा दे के बाद, चाहे जो भी हो उसका प्रोसेस, उस डिवोटी के टेस्ट बर्ड्स को परफेक्ट सेटिस्फैक्शन देने का, एंड देन वापस रीअपियर होने का बाहर. देयर इज नो डेथ ना, तो सच्चिदानंद है वो, तो उसका सेवा ही हो रहता है. इंटरेस्टिंग. दास दास अनुदास, तो वो अपना सेवा करता रहता है रसगुल्ला, हर एक डेवड़े मुंह में जाने का. तो अमेजिंग. एंड ऑफ कोर्स दे कैन ऑल्सो ट्रांसफॉर्म देयर साइजेस एंड शेप्स एंड वॉट एवर दे वॉन्ट टू बिकम समटाइम्स फॉर द सर्विस.
Also, Guru Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj was mentioning in one article that there is no breath also. Because there is
ब्रेथ,
no breath,
सांस.
no breath. So, very difficult to
Actually, the point is, we are in a paradigm where we are only familiar with material phenomenon. We have hunger, we have thirst, we have death, we have old age, we have lamentation, illusion, forgetfulness. तो हमको यही सब पता है. उस रियल में there is hunger. Krishna gets hungry. Coward boys tell him, Talvan is nearby, we are smelling the fruits. Don't you smell them? तो उसका मतलब क्या है? सांस ले रहा है ना वो, और वो बोल भी तो रहा है, भूख लगा है. So both are happening there. How can we say there is no breath? The breath here means that this kind of breath that we do with lungs and all the oxygen intake and the red corpuscles picking up the oxygen and getting energized, all that whole phenomenon is not there. That's the meaning. But in general we hear a description of spiritual world. Sugandh mand vayu beh rahi thi. So that means there are people to smell it also. ऐसे कृष्णा उसको बहलाएंगे वायु को. Okay. So please don't ask me questions about spiritual world because I have no realizations of it. So this little, Prabhupada gives the example. Somebody who has got, stomach has become upset, heavy headache, all limbs have become jammed, the muscles has developed spasms, and he has not, he's not able to move also very properly in the, ऐसा उसने 10 साल निकाला है, सोचो, या जन्म से ऐसा पैदा हुआ है वो. और उसको अगर कोई बोलता है कि अरे ये पता है क्या, ये क्रिकेट खेलता है, बोलता है वो पता है क्या, वो 15 चपाती खाता है, फिर ये पता है क्या ऐसे, तो बोले कैसा जी सकते हैं लोग. That person will think that how can this fellow survive like this, but he doesn't understand that is life. That's the real life actually. We have become so conditioned now to think from our perspective ki how can these things be possible. They're not just possible, they're pleasurable. They're most wonderful. So in the healthy condition of our spiritual existence, there we will realize real fun means what. So that's the point. Last question. Give mic stand. Yes. Yeah, he can. Pure devotees are capable of telling even other person's spiritual identity. But don't worry, we are not anywhere close to that phenomenon. If you could just manage our 16 good rounds per day, that would be a grand accomplishment. Huh? Yeah. So, Prabhupada himself never revealed his spiritual identity. Although he's such a great devotee, he kept all these things. This is not important. To know, what is my Swarupa in the spiritual world. What is important? Am I pleasing my spiritual master by my activities that I am performing now? So all these things will naturally happen. We don't have to worry about it. It's something like, a girl goes and asks the mother, pregnancy क्या होता है? And mother बोलती है अभी नहीं, 15 साल के बाद इसके ऊपर चर्चा होगी. So the same thing in our context.